Let's try a little thought experiment. Imagine a city, say in the year 2033, where street crime has pretty much vanished. Not because of more police or tougher laws, but because the system itself is designed to make it, well, impossible. We're going to explore a really radical new way of thinking about urban safety using tech that's just around the corner. So, let's start with the big question, the one that gets this whole thing started. What if you could stop crime without ever having to arrest anyone? What if, instead of just reacting after the fact, we could design an environment where crime just can't happen in the first place? Not with force, but by just architecting it out of existence.
Okay, so to test this idea, we need a problem, a really tricky one. Think about the nightlife district in any big city, right? You've got the tourist scams, the super aggressive touts trying to pull you into a club. These are messy, complicated situations that regular policing has a really hard time with. It's the perfect, unsolvable problem for our futuristic solution.
But here's the thing. What you and I see on the street, that's usually just the tip of the iceberg. Behind a lot of those aggressive touts, there's this hidden world of coercion. For many of them, the scam they're pulling on you is a trap they're caught in themselves. It often starts the second they arrive in the country and someone takes their passport.
And this is where it gets really, really messy for law enforcement. Because the person committing the crime might also be a victim, right? They're trapped in this cycle of debt bondage, basically a modern form of slavery. So just arresting them doesn't fix anything. You're just taking one victim off the street who then gets replaced by another.
So it becomes clear pretty fast that going after the people you can see is like trying to clean a perpetually dirty floor. You can sweep it all you want, it might look okay for a minute, but you haven't done a single thing about the source of the dirt. If you really want to solve the problem, you have to change the environment itself.
All right, so if the problem is baked into the system, the solution has to be too. So let's open up our hypothetical 2033 toolkit. This isn't about finding one magical piece of tech. It's about how a bunch of different technologies come together to create a totally new kind of city.
You see, the jump we're talking about here is massive. We're moving from being reactive to being proactive. Today, we have cameras that just record what happened. In this future, we're talking about an environment that actively stops deception from even taking place. That information gap that criminals have always exploited, it gets completely flipped on its head.
So what's in this toolkit? Well, you've got a few key building blocks. By 2033, it's not hard to imagine persistent biometric ID. Not just faces, but the way you walk, your microexpressions. We'll have AI that can actually pick up on signs of duress or criminal intent. You'll have robotics everywhere, but they'll just blend in, as little cleaning bots or delivery drones. And the key is that it's all hooked together into a single network, creating a digital identity for you that's impossible to fake.
Now, this concept is absolutely central. Let's call it the pass phone port. In this world, your phone, or whatever device you carry, isn't just the thing you own. It is you. It's your passport, your ID, your visa, all in one. And think about what that does. That classic trafficker's move of taking someone's passport, it's completely useless now. Why? Because the moment that device is taken from you or goes dark in a weird place, it's not a minor issue. It's an immediate, system-wide alarm bell that authorities can't ignore.
Okay, so we have the tools. How do we use them? This is where it gets really interesting, because the strategy isn't about force or confrontation. It's about something much, much more subtle. It's about making bad behavior so consistently annoying and frustrating that people just give up. You literally extinguish the crime with annoyance.
And this whole strategy plays out in 3 stages, each one escalating a little bit. It starts with just creating a little friction, a bit of bad luck. If that doesn't work, the system dials it up to active, targeted frustration. And finally, if someone gets aggressive, the system makes sure that aggression backfires in the most public, humiliating way possible.
So step 1 is all about psychology. Picture a tout trying to approach a tourist. Just as he moves in, a little cleaning bot happens to roll right between them. He tries again with someone else, and suddenly a delivery drone just hovers there, blocking his line of sight. It's maddening. There's no one to get angry at. It just feels like you're having the unluckiest day of your life.
Now, if the so-called bad luck doesn't stop him, the system escalates. But, and this is the genius of it, it always has plausible deniability. So the tout finally gets close enough to start his pitch, and bam! A nearby vending machine suddenly starts blasting a super loud, targeted ad. It's so focused that only he and the tourist are really bothered by it, making it impossible to talk. Is it an attack? Nope. It's just an ad. A coincidence. Totally.
And then there's the final step, failure. The tout is so frustrated by this world that seems to be conspiring against him that he just snaps. He lashes out and tries to kick a little cleaning robot. But the AI has already anticipated the kick. The robot just sidesteps. His foot hits nothing but air, and his own momentum sends him sprawling onto the pavement. It's not a fight. It's slapstick comedy. And the humiliation is completely self-inflicted.
And that's the beautiful, deadpan logic of the whole thing. The robot didn't dodge him. It wasn't defending itself. From the system's point of view, the robot just received a new cleaning task that, coincidentally, required it to be 2 feet to the left at that exact millisecond. Aggression isn't met with force. It's met with this maddening passive indifference.
So let's zoom out a bit. What is the endgame here? What does a world that works this way actually feel like? What happens to society when entire business models that are built on lies and deception just stop working?
Well, the difference between now and then is just stark. Today, our whole system is reactive. It's based on punishment. It investigates actions and catches criminals after the damage is done. This 2033 model is proactive and based on the environment. It doesn't just investigate actions, it makes those actions impossible. It doesn't catch criminals, it makes the entire concept of criminality obsolete.
And there's actually a pretty good real-world parallel for this. Look at what happened when some parts of Australia decriminalized sex work. The new laws didn't defeat pimps by sending more police after them, they just changed the system. When workers could operate legally and safely on their own, the pimp's entire business model, which was based on navigating an illegal world, just evaporated. They weren't beaten, they were made irrelevant.
And that really gets to the heart of the end game. The goal isn't to have a system that is constantly cleaning up the streets. The goal is to engineer a street that is basically Teflon. It's an environment that becomes selectively, fundamentally inhospitable to predatory behavior. The problem isn't so much solved as the conditions for its existence are just removed.
You see, for pretty much all of human history, crime has relied on a knowledge gap, right? The criminal knows something the victim doesn't, or the cops don't. In this 2033 scenario, that advantage is gone forever. In fact, it's inverted. The system knows everything, all the time. Deception is no longer a viable strategy for humans. There's nowhere to run because there's nowhere left to hide.
So yeah, this little thought experiment might solve street crime. But it leaves us with a much, much bigger question. If we create a world, an environment, that removes the very possibility of deception, what does that do to us? In a world with no more shadows to hide in, who do we even become?